Welcome to another edition of Closer to Home Small Business Spotlight. Whether you're looking to expand or reimagine your home, one of the first conversations you'll have may be with an architect. Today I'm sitting with Ruth and Tom Michael of the Michael Office of Architecture, a husband and wife team here in Rosemont. Thank you for taking time today.
Welcome. Thanks for having us.
Tell me a little bit about Michael Office of Architecture.
Well, we're a design and engineering firm. We provide services, design and permitting for single family, multifamily, and residential mainly.
Okay.
But we also do new construction, additions, and major remodel work also. So we work a lot with general contractors and developers who are, building up communities, or if they're trying to, add units and develop their portfolio. But we do a lot of work with single family owners too that are either working on their house, be it an addition or their new house.
Or their new house even.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
right. How long have you been a team?
So Tom and I met in undergrad at UIC, so we're local Chicago kids.
There you go.
2007,
All right.
6? Yeah.
Okay.
It's been a minute.
We've been a team since then, but MOA has been a thing since 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great,
Yeah.
great. We were talking a little bit before we started this about scope of work for an architect, and that may vary, or questions that people may have. Tell me about what you believe the scope of work is for an architect, your approach to it.
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
start and then let you jump in, but you definitely want to have get 3 references off of the architect, right? And it should be somebody who has worked on them on a similar type of project. If you're building a new single family home, try to get somebody who has had an experience doing that with them. So then at least, if you're getting a good vibe off of them from the initial consults, then that just takes it further where it seals the deal.
Okay.
Other really important things are the scope of work includes everything that you need to get to the finish line. So if you're doing new construction or an addition, a lot of municipalities want to have civil involved. That can be a big chunk of money that's missing.
Okay.
If you're doing new construction, fire sprinklers throughout Illinois are required. They're not in Chicago, but a lot of municipalities are going to require you to sprinkler if you're doing more than 50% work to your house. So make sure that's in the budget, or they have somebody that they can point you to.
Okay.
And then another big thing is that when you're working with your GC and your architect on the bidding and negotiation part, that they're with you helping you make your shopping list if the GC is not buying your tile and buying your vanity and all those things, because that's a huge chunk of the budget.
I would think so. And that's something you can help with then?
Yeah,
Specifically?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, create the
Gotcha.
shopping list, we like to call it.
Okay. So what does that look like if someone's going to reach out to you that they want to expand their home, they want to have an addition on the house, and they reach out to you? What does that look like in terms of your process with them initially?
Sure. So first step is we would go out to their home, talk to them, understand what their needs are, walk the house, spitball some ideas just straight off the bat.
Okay.
Not necessarily, like a HGTV show where everything's figured out right away, but we'll have some general ideas, and then from there we would kind of come back, measure, start sketching, just have some very general design meetings, throw stuff out there.
All the while kind of asking about the budget.
I was just going to ask about that. Is that a first conversation type of thing?
It should be. It should be, because it guides where the project is going.
Helps expectations?
Absolutely. Okay. So if you have X, but what you're thinking in your mind is going to cost 2X, then we need to bring back the expectations a little bit.
Right.
And that should happen early. The earlier the better.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What are a couple of the initial things that you'd want to make sure people know or think about prior to reaching out to an architect or about the project, or is that really something you learn when you sit down?
Sure.
Yeah, every project is different, so let's just keep it in the a larger scale addition onto your house, right? You're trying to add a second story. There's a lot of people in the area, I would say, have Chicago bungalows, and they're going to put on a second story.
Very
right?
popular.
Very popular. So you usually have an enclosed porch in the back that's not really well heated and cooling, right? Like it was just a porch that got enclosed. So a lot of those projects will sit down with them, show them a set of plans, and explain to them the timeline. Because we're going to be best friends for about 3 years. depending on where you're working in your GC, how fast they can get their budgets back, get their trades lined up,
Sure.
everything. You get financing or you got the money in your pocket, it could easily take years
Okay.
working through a project.
Yeah, I think timeline is a big one that people don't fully grasp from the outset. You know, they think, okay, so we'll draw something up, get a permit, can we start, in 3 months?
And let's get shovel in the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the understanding is that this is, it's a couple of weeks with the architect and then a couple of months with the contractor. But, what we lay it out and we show them like previous schedules, or we give them a Gantt chart for their project so they can understand like, oh, wow. And then it really affects, if they have to move out of the house, or they can, have to get a second home, or they got kids in school and they got to stay in the neighborhood. It's a big like architecture and construction is a huge expense.
Okay.
So it really helps to help them understand that
And have
timeline.
someone guide you through the process. I think it's very helpful.
All right, and I guess that kind of in a way leads to what I was going to piggyback off on. Something else was misconceptions. I talked about what people should expect to sit down, but what are things that you find are the top misconceptions when they sit down or when they reach out to you?
I would say the amount of work and time that we put into like designing their kitchen or their bathroom. Like we'll talk about, do you want an outlet in this drawer? Like,
Right.
where are you putting your plates? What linear, footage do you have of like cabinet space currently? So, if you want a huge kitchen, do you really need a huge kitchen? Can we get another bedroom in there? The licensing is a big thing too. We're licensed in 4 states. There's some architects that have, could have multiple licenses.
Okay.
But the amount of experience, or like,
Sure.
amount of time that it takes to get the design off
Okay.
the
So in other words, it kind of again just comes down to the more you know type
I
thing,
think
and the
it
more
is.
you ask.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay. I know we're scratching the surface. We could spend an hour talking about this, but that's really helpful for a good place for people to start. Is there anything, there's a lot to know about Michael Office of Architecture, but something we haven't touched on, do you do things that are outside of residential as well?
Yes, we definitely do. Like right now we're working on an animal shelter for a local nonprofit in Chicago.
Okay.
And then we're also working on a restaurant that's going to be going up in St. Charles. Those
Okay.
are currently out of the residential right now on the board.
Yeah.
So
But a restaurant is a big one that we like to work on.
Okay.
We love doing restaurants. Before we started, I did restaurants for about 8 years in California, and it's kind of a niche. Takes a little bit of specialized knowledge, but they're a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
the
So there's-
timeline on those is kind of compressed compared to a single family too.
Right, I would think so.
Yeah.
Well, commercial is such a different animal to begin
For
with.
sure.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, very helpful. Thank you for your time today. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
If you have additional questions for Ruth or Tom, I'll get their contact information below. Certainly don't hesitate to reach out. If you have questions about buying or selling in Park Ridge or the surrounding areas, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Also happy to help answer your questions. And just remember, when you work with Paul, you're closer to home.